Well, good afternoon, and live from Texas, this is the Will Cain Show. Stunning new video out of California, lighting up social media, soon to be dominating cable news coverage. And after that, Washington, D.C. It is Democrat Senator Alex Padilla of California barging into DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's press conference this afternoon and promptly escorted out, manhandled by FBI, and then placed into cuffs.
Judge Ready and Bell. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been docked or
On the ground. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go and put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here.
I do not know.
There's no recording allowed out here per FBI regs.
Padilla says he was, I guess, in the spirit of Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, conducting oversight. There's a lot of ways to ask questions, but barging in and interrupting a press conference doesn't seem to be the most senatorial. Kristi Noem says he could have called. Governor Gavin Newsom posted on X, if they can handcuff a United States senator for asking a question, imagine what they will do to you. Asking a question seems somewhat reductive to what you just saw once again with your eyes before being gaslit by a Democrat. That, though, is a physical manifestation, a literal confrontation of extremism. But in Washington, D.C. today, we saw rhetorical extremism when it comes to illegal immigration. It was a back and forth on law and order, and high-profile Democrat governors of Illinois, Minnesota, and New York were on Capitol Hill for a contentious hearing. And it's all about what their states do when it comes to illegal immigration, or better said, what they do not do with sanctuary policies. What do they have in common? Well, to start, talking points. Here's Tim Waltz.
They're angry that the federal government has been snatching people up, putting them in prison, and deporting them without a shred of due process. There's been no notice, no meaningful opportunity to object, and according to the president, no way to get out of these overseas prisons once you end up there. And let's be clear, many of these are.
Due process, always the talking point. For that matter, though, due process doesn't cover these sanctuary governors when it comes to crime.
Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir, before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
So Tim Waltz has welcomed these type of individuals into Minnesota with free education, free health care, driver's license. And Governor Pritzker of Illinois doesn't know even what's happening, the crime when it comes to illegal immigration. But Governor Kathy Hochul of New York doesn't want to know.
What we spend on immigrants, the immigrants who are here hardworking to live a life and working on our farms and taking care of our parents in nursing homes and taking care of our children, they have been coming here for 400 years. And we don't keep track of individuals based on their status. We make sure that people have services so we don't end up with an unexpected.
So this is the rhetorical extremism you now hear from Democrats. They are unified. They all sound the same. And if you doubt that might be extreme, I would offer you up, what did Democrats used to sound like? What did they sound like, for example, in the 1990s?
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. Our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
If the words of Bill Clinton in 1990 5 were transcribed and read today by Donald Trump, they would be described as alt-right authoritarian. But you don't have to go back to the 90s, and you don't have to rely on someone that Democrats would describe as a centrist. You can actually move to the far left, and you can move to 2015. You can hear from Bernie Sanders.
But I think if you take global poverty that seriously, it leads you to conclusions that in the U.S. are considered out of political bounds. Things like sharply raising the level of immigration we permit, even up to a level of open borders.
I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
It would make a lot of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that.
Bernie Sanders opposed to open borders and talking about how unfettered illegal or even legal immigration would make Americans poorer. But cut to today, and you have Jasmine Crockett.
I don't know how many hearings we gonna have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists, but they haven't had these hearings.
White supremacists. One immigrant killed that one person. And in this rhetorical death loop for the party, in this rhetorical escalation where every politician is in a competition on the left to say something more outlandish and more extreme, but yet still remaining unified in their insanity, no one outpaces Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson.
When I talked about what terrorism looks like, this is it. There should be no question to what our country would look like had the Confederacy won. We're seeing it on full display. And there's no art form in this.
This is terrorism, enforcing our democratically elected laws. Standing for the rule of law is a vision of what would have happened should the Confederacy have won the Civil War. That is the mayor of Chicago. What is happening with the left? In fact, I'd love for you to walk with me, if you would, over to the monitor. I want to show you what's happened to ideological diversity on the left. Because one could say to me, Will, Brandon Johnson, Jasmine Crockett, they don't represent the vast majority of the left. They're extremists. And I would say to you, are you sure? Take a look at this from the British Journal of Social Psychology from 2023. Now, this is a map that shows ideological diversity on the left and the right. What you'll see over here, in your mind's eye, picture a dime. That represents the diversity of debate and discussion and thoughts on the left. As you move to the right in 2023, you see that dime explode essentially into the size of a baseball, representing the number of debates, disagreements, different ideas that exist on the right, where today you have to ask yourself, if Brandon Johnson is extreme, how far is he actually away from the mainstream of Democratic thought? And that is something that I think podcaster and YouTube host Tim Pool played out very well on the Trigonometry podcast. He talked about the need, the requirement of complete uniformity on the left.
On the left, what do you think would happen if you went and opposed their views at a public forum? You'd be threatened with violence. The reason I say it's a cult is because you could not define what they believe. It's impossible. You could not map the logic of their principles or plan for this country.
It's about feelings.
Yeah. I think it is, but if you break it down, it's largely about adhering to the murmuration.
And the murmuration currently requires Democrat politicians and those on the left to sound more and more like Brandon Johnson and less like Bill Clinton from the 1990s. Meanwhile, on the side of the right, MAGA has RFK Jr., it has Tulsi Gabbard, and it has Donald Trump, all former Democrats. But there are some, like this TikToker, who say, fine, let them have their extreme, insane ideological uniformity and let them have the results in their cities.
Someone asked me if I support the protests that are going on in LA. I 100% do. Please keep going. Burn down your own backyard if you must. You know why? Because this right here is the greatest campaign ad that this side never had to pay for.
So Bass, so Newsom, so Pritzker, so Waltz, so Hochul, you get the cities that you ask for. You get California. You get New York. My next guest says if the left wants their cities to burn, then the federal government should just let them. He's host of The Ben Shapiro Show. It is Ben Shapiro, who's also the author of an upcoming book, Lions and Scavengers, The True Story of America. Ben, you have said this, and I think it is fascinating. Maybe Trump shouldn't send in the National Guard.
Yeah, I mean, the basic idea here is that Democrats seem to want to let their cities fall apart. And if the federal taxpayer is supposed to fix all of that, then how are voters ever going to learn that perhaps it's a bad idea to continue voting for these same people? I'm a refugee from California. I lived my entire life in California. I was born in LA. I lived in LA all the way until the time that I was 35, 36 years old. And then I picked up my entire family and moved to Florida. I moved my company over to Tennessee. We took dozens of employees with us. And the reason is because California had degraded over the course of my lifetime because of the governance of absolute trash heaps like Gavin Newsom, who's just a horrible, horrible governor. In fact, we're not rare. Between 2019 and 2024, California had a net loss of population of 1.5 million people. And my only point here is not that we want citizens to suffer. Obviously, we don't. But the local and state policies that are being implemented in California were voted on by the voters, and they keep voting the exact same way. And if democracy is, as H.L. Mencken suggested, the theory that the people deserve to get what they voted for good and hard, then you actually have to let them suffer the consequences of their own bad policymaking.
It's a fascinating proposition. Donald Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said yesterday in a hearing on Congress, well, we saw what happened in Minneapolis in 2020. We don't want to see American cities burned to the ground once again. We don't want to see a police jurisdiction literally taken over and burned to the ground. But you make a fascinating point. You're bailing them out in a way. You're bailing these voters out, and certainly you're bailing these terrible mayors and governors out of reaping the whirlwind of their own policies, lying in the bed that they've made.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the policing equivalent of assault deduction. Right? There are people who suggest that if you're in a high-tax state, you should be able to deduct those high taxes in your state against your federal tax dollars. Well, the problem, of course, there is you're subsidizing all of the high-tax state at the expense of the low-tax states. And if you do the same thing, if you keep bailing people out for their bad decision-making, then how do you expect them to learn the lesson that perhaps they should vote for a different kind of party? The Democratic Party in California is a virtue-signaling, bad policy party, and people are fleeing the state for a reason. And so, again, I understand President Trump wants to enact and enforce the laws that are on the books. I think he's right to do that. And I certainly understand the temptation that once you have people enforcing the law, you have to defend those people. You can't let people attack federal officers, for example. With that said, let California stew is not a horrible strategy. I mean, let every state be what those states are, and you'll see people vote with their feet.
Ben, one last question for you. I'm sure you heard my setup here today on what's happened to the rhetorical but ideological extremism on the left. You heard me play some sound from Tim Pool, who I'm sure you've had your disagreements with from time to time. He said in this clip, by the way, the right still has the ability to have Dave Smith debate Charlie Kirk and end with a handshake and a beer. The left doesn't seem to have that. They don't even indulge the debate. They don't show up for it. And in fact, if they hear something they disagree, they want to cancel it, fire it, and sometimes respond violently. But the other interesting part, Ben, is that it's ideologically unmoored. Bill Clinton in the 90s sounds so vastly different from Brandon Johnson from 2025. And so what's fascinating is if the left requires that ideological cohesion, but it's unmoored, where does it go? What does it spin off into, this cult of agreement?
I mean, the lawn sign leftism that basically says you have to sign on to the omni cause, where every cause is the same as every other cause. And you hear protesters legitimately saying this. You see Palestinian flags flying with Mexican flags, with burning American flags while rocks are being thrown at the police. And you're thinking, and they're trans flags. What do all these things have in common? The answer is the only thing they have in common is hatred of the broader American system. And that's the unifying glue that is bringing all these people together. And if Democrats cannot separate off from that, they're going to continue to lose over and over again, because moderate Americans, it's not that they abandoned the Democratic Party, it's that the Democratic Party has been abandoning them.
That's great. That's a great point. It's a great reminder that the ideological cohesion, the central point, the one thing that does stay while everything spins off around it, is an antagonism towards the American system, towards Western civilization. All right, Ben Shapiro, we'll check out your new book and check out the program as always. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Will.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.